Hello, I'm Kelly. Today we have a Vinyasa flow class that will build up to dancer pose. Dancer pose requires a lot of openness in the quad and the hip flexor, and so our practice today will work on opening that up. We'll have dancer near the very end of class where you'll have the best opportunity to move into the pose as easily as possible. And then dancer is also an unusual pose in that it has diagonal extension, so you're pressing through one leg as you're reaching through the opposite arm, and so we're going to play around with that a little bit in class today as well. For class, if you have yoga blocks, grab at least one yoga block, and then if you know that you like cushion under your knees and tabletop, low lunges, etc., you might want to grab a yoga blanket or a bath towel if you don't have a yoga blanket. And we are going to get started right away with one of our blocks. So we're going to start in a supported bridge pose. So we'll grab that block, we'll come to lie on our backs. We'll have our feet about hip width apart. We'll press into them to lift the hips. We're just getting started, so I would recommend the lowest setting on your block. You slide that block under your hips so you can feel your sacrum, that little triangular bone at the base of the spine, resting heavy on that block. Once we have arrived there, we'll bring our arms by our sides, palms face up. We'll wiggle one shoulder blade under and then the other. We'll take a moment just to arrive on our yoga mats. So I invite you to drop your awareness into your body and just noticing how it's feeling today. What parts of your body feel good? What parts might feel a little less good? Not judging, just observing. And then bringing your awareness to your breath and noticing what parts of your body move on the inhale and what parts move on the exhale. And just by bringing your awareness to your breath, it's very possible that you started to lengthen it already. But if you haven't, I invite you on your next inhale to try to inhale so deeply that you feel your stomach expand and then you feel the ribs expand. And then exhaling to slowly lower all of that back down. Again, inhaling deep into the stomach, up through the ribs. And exhaling slowly. Let's take 3 more rounds here at your own pace. On every inhale, trying to create a little more expansion in the front body. On every exhale, trying to create a little more softness. Once we've finished that 3rd round of breath, we will start to get into our movement practice. So we're going to start right away by getting into hip flexors and quads. And so we're going to start by bringing the right knee in towards the right shoulder. And then we're going to lengthen the left leg long. So your left heel is reaching out as far forward as it goes, hopefully resting on your mat. With that block under your hip, you're going to feel a little bit of opening in front of that left hip there, into that left hip flexor. We might start by also getting into that right hip a little bit by making some small circles with the right knee in one direction. And then switching directions. And then we're going to start working on that diagonal extension. So we're going to keep the left hand on the right knee or the right shin, and we're going to bring the right hand straight up overhead, reaching towards the back of the room. And then we're going to press through the sole of the left foot. We're going to reach through the fingertips on the right hand. We might notice the stretch on the front of the left hip has changed just a little bit when we've added this diagonal extension as well. And then we'll bring the right hand back to the right knee. We'll give that knee one more little squeeze, and then we'll drop the right foot down onto the mat. From here, we'll bring the left knee in towards the left shoulder, and then we'll lengthen the right leg, right heel, trying to rest on your mat. We'll add some small circles with the left knee in one direction, and then we'll reverse directions. And then keeping a hold of the left shin with the right hand, we'll reach the left arm straight up overhead. We'll reach through the sole of the right foot as we're reaching through those left fingertips. And then bringing the left hand back to meet the left shin. One more little squeeze with that left knee. And then we'll lower the left foot down. We'll bring the right foot in to meet the left. Pressing through the soles of the feet, we'll lift the hips. We'll slide that block out of the way and slide it forward so it's not in your way, lowering our hips down. From here, we're gonna get into a little bit of quad stretching. So we're gonna roll onto our right side, and we're going to send the left knee straight forward in front of us. So your left knee is resting on the ground, probably just off of the long end of your mat. You're lying on your right side. From here, we'll bend the right knee. We'll reach around with the left hand to catch that right foot. And adding a little quad stretch on the right leg here. And then let's add a little activation as well. So let's press the foot into the hand and the hand into the foot. So your right quad is working a bit as it's also getting stretched here. And then we'll gently release the right foot. We're going to pass through half frog pose before second side. So we're going to keep rolling all the way onto our stomachs. Your left knee is still out to the side though. So even a right angle at the knee and the hip. And then we'll stack our hands. We'll rest our forehead on those stacked hands. We'll pause here for a couple of breaths, opening up through the inside of your left hip. And then we'll bring the left leg in to meet the right, straightening both legs, pausing for a moment in prone shavasana here. And then we'll switch over to second side. So we'll slide the right knee straight out to the side, coming into half frog on this side before the quad stretch, resting your forehead back on to stacked palms. A couple breaths here, opening up the inside of the right leg. And then we'll continue our journey onto second side quad stretch by rolling all the way onto the left side. Right knee is now straight out in front. Bending the left knee, catching the left foot with the right hand. A little quad stretch here. And then maybe pressing foot into hand, hand into foot to add some activation in our stretch. And we'll release the left foot. We'll press into the right palm to send us all the way back on to our backs where we started. From here, we'll bend both knees, hugging them in towards the chest. We'll rock a little side to side. And then we'll catch behind the thighs. We'll rock front to back a couple times. And then we're going to make our way up into tabletop. And if you like cushion under your knees, we can grab our yoga blanket or bath towel, beach towel, etc. and sliding it underneath the knees. In our tabletop, we'll have wrists under shoulders and knees under hips. We'll move through a few rounds of cat-cow to warm up the spine. On the inhale, pulling the chest forward, gaze lifts, tailbone lifts. On the exhale, pressing your mat away, back rounds, head hangs. Inhaling, pulling the chest forward into cow. Exhaling, rounding into cat. Let's take each way one more time, coming forward to cow. And rounding into cat. And then we'll come into our neutral tabletop. From here, we'll extend the right foot straight back Engaging through that right glute, maybe peeking down to your toes to see if they're dialing down towards the floor or flaring out to the side. We want them pointing towards the floor as much as possible. We'll hug our core in, and then we'll extend the left fingers straight forward. A little diagonal extension again, pressing through the right foot, reaching through the left fingers. And then we'll add some movement here. On the exhale, we'll round the spine, tapping knee and elbow under the body. On the inhale, re-extending. And exhaling to round. Inhaling to extend. Once more to round. Once more to extend. And then we'll lower the left hand. We'll lower the right knee. We'll take all of that second side. Straightening the left leg straight behind us, pressing through the sole of the foot. Left toes dialing towards the ground. Core hugging in. Right fingers extending, finding some extension through the foot and the fingers. And then adding some movement on the exhale, rounding the spine, knee and elbow tap. Inhaling to extend. Exhaling to round. And extending. Once more rounding. Once more extending. Lowering the hand, lowering the knee. We're going to do a smidge more here in table, and I just want to give our wrists a little love before we continue on. So we're going to rotate our hands so our fingers are facing our knees. And then from here, we'll make circles in one direction, just reversing how our wrists are bent and bearing load. And then we'll reverse those directions. And then we'll sit back on our heels. We'll give our hands a little shake like we're flinging water off of them. And then we'll come into tabletop one last time. We're going to have some options here. We can repeat what we did, or we might be ready to add on. So we'll start by extending the right leg long. Core hugs in, left fingers reach long. We can hang out here in bird dog or add the knee and elbow taps. Or perhaps we bend that right knee. We reach around with the left hand and we catch the right foot. And then we'll press the foot into the hand and into the foot to lift the chest. We're actively pressing through that right hand so we're not just sinking into that front shoulder. Couple breaths here, half bow pose. And we'll re-extend the foot and the hand. And we'll lower the hand and the knee. And then we'll take that second side. So extending through the left foot, reaching through right fingers, maybe staying here, maybe adding the knee and elbow taps, or maybe bending the left knee, reaching around to catch the foot with the right hand, pressing the foot into the hand to lift the chest, making sure we're pressing actively through the left palm as well. And then we'll release the foot and the hand. We'll lower the hand, we'll lower the knee, we'll tuck our toes under, we'll push up and back to downward facing dog. First down dog of the day, we can pedal out the legs. You can shake out the head. You could add any other movement that feels good in your body in this moment. And then we'll take an easy walk to the front of the mat, arriving in a forward fold. We might bend the knees. We might rest the torso on the thighs. We might shake the head, yes or no. And then on the next inhale, we'll come up to standing, fingers reaching to the sky. And exhaling, hands to heart center. We'll pause here, big inhale. Slow exhale. We're going to move through a few rounds of modified sun salutations here. So when we're ready, we'll inhale, fingers to the sky. And exhaling to fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, flat back. Exhaling, right foot steps back, right knee lowers down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, right hand plants, left fingers reach, twisted lunge. We'll pause here for the inhale. On the exhale, lowering the left hand, right foot steps forward, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling to refold. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Pausing, big inhale. Slow exhale. Second side, inhaling, fingers reach. Exhaling to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, left foot steps back, left knee lowers down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, left hand plants, right fingers reach, twisted lunge. Pausing, big inhale here. Exhaling, lowering the right hand, back foot steps forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And refolding. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Pausing, big inhale. Slow exhale. We'll add on, inhaling, fingers reach. Exhaling to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to plank. Pausing, big inhale. Lowering, slow exhale. Inhaling, curling, baby cobra. Exhaling, tucking toes, pushing up and back. Downward facing dog. Taking 3 big full rounds of breath here. From here, we'll inhale, right heel to the sky. Exhaling, right foot between the hands. Left knee will lower down. Inhaling, fingers up to the sky. We got a little arm variation here. We're going to slide the left arm up the back like we're coming into cow facing pose. From here, we're going to press that left palm into the back so we can open up through the front of the left shoulder. And then right fingers will reach tall. We're going to think about pressing through the left foot as we reach through those right fingers to get a little bit of diagonal extension work here. And then we'll release the left fingers back up to the sky. We'll lower the right hand to the right hip, and then we'll reach up and over for a side stretch to the right. And then right fingers will reach back up to the sky. We'll lower the left hand for our twisted lunge. Once more, right finger is reaching to the sky. From here, we are going to lower the right hand down to frame the front foot. We're in a low runner's lunge. We're going to take the left toes and we're going to swing them off the right side of your mat. And then we're going to find the diagonal between that front foot and that back knee off the left side of your mat. We're going to have down dog arms. We're going to press through the palms, dropping the head between the hands. And then we'll walk the hands back underneath the chest. We'll swing those left toes back facing the back of your mat. We'll swing the right leg around. We'll come up to plank. We'll pause here for a breath, a little core work, and then we'll slide the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. A couple breaths here before we move on to second side. When we're ready for second side, we'll inhale, left heel to the sky. Exhaling, left foot between the hands, right knee lowering down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, right hand reaching behind the back, pressing into that palm to open up through the right shoulder. Then pressing through the right knee and the right foot as we actively reach through the left fingers. And then releasing the right fingers back up to the sky. We'll bring left hand to the hip. Right fingers will reach up and over. Side stretch over to the left. And then left fingers will reach back up to the sky. We'll plant the right hand. Left fingers reach. Twisted lunge. Once more. And then lowering the left hand, right toes will swivel off the left long end of your mat. Torso will turn halfway between the right knee and the left foot. Arms are reaching off the right side of your mat. Down dog arms, pressing through palms, head dropping between the arms. And we'll walk our hands back onto the mat, right toes swiveling towards the back of the mat. Left leg swinging back. We'll come up into our plank for a breath, pressing through the palms, quads are engaged, and then pushing up and back to downward facing dog. Taking a few rounds of breath here, or maybe coming in to child's pose before we make our way to our next round of standing poses. And then wherever you ended up, either in down dog or child's pose, in the next breath or two, making your way back to the front of the mat, arriving in a forward fold. Then on your next inhale, reaching halfway up, flat back. And refolding on the exhale. And then inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Pausing, big inhale here. Slow exhale here. We'll add on, inhaling, fingers reach. Exhaling to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to plank. Pausing, big inhale. Lowering on the exhale. Inhaling, maybe we're ready for a bigger cobra. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. 3 big full rounds of breath here. On the next inhale, we'll reach right heel straight up to the sky. On the exhale, right foot steps between the hands. Left knee will lower down. We'll inhale, fingers to the sky. A little different arm variation. This time we'll interlace fingers behind the back. We'll inhale to lift the chest. Fingers will reach down and back as chest is lifting up and hips are still trying to sink down. And then we'll release the fingers. We'll re-extend them up to the sky. We'll bring right hand to the hip, reaching over to the right, little side stretch. Inhaling, fingers back to center. Exhaling, left hand plant, right fingers reach. Inhaling here. Maybe staying here, or maybe bending the back leg and catching that foot. We're gonna probably grab the big toe side to start. Let's walk the fingers over to pinky side. That will let us open up through the right shoulder a little bit more as well. And we'll think about pressing through the left palm so we're not sinking in to that shoulder here. If we caught the back foot, we'll gently lower it back down. We'll sweep the right arm up and over. We'll find our plank once more, a little bit of core work. And then reaching through the hips, sliding back, downward facing dog. 3 big full rounds of breath here before moving on to second side. When we're ready, we'll inhale, left heel to the sky. Exhaling, left foot between the hands, right knee lowering down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, interlacing fingers, second favorite way. Inhaling to lift the chest. Next, inhale, fingers sweep back up to the sky. Exhale, side stretch up and over to the left. Inhaling, fingers back up to the sky. Exhaling, right hand plants, left fingers reach, twisted lunge. Maybe staying here, maybe bending the back leg, catching the back foot, sliding hand to pinky side of the foot, and coming back into that twisted lunge position with the quad stretch. And then gently letting that right foot go, sweeping the left hand up and over, sliding back into our plank pose, and then pushing up and back, downward facing dog, or maybe finding a resting pose by finding child's pose or any other pose that is a resting pose in your body. From here, regardless of where you're at, in the next breath or two, making your way back up to the front of your mat, arriving in a forward fold. And then on the next inhale, lifting halfway up, flat back, and refolding. And inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. We're finally going to start getting into a little bit of balancing, and I would like for us to just kind of prep our balancing before we do it in our standing flow. And so we're going to start by grounding down through the left foot. We'll bring the right knee up towards the chest. And we're going to have two different arm variations as we move through. One will be diagonal extension. So we'll bring the left hand by our side. We'll reach right fingers to the sky. We'll think about pressing that left foot as we're actively reaching through those right fingers. And then the other variation we're going to find is where we have same side, foot, and arm. So right hand lowers down, left fingers reach to the sky as we're pressing through that left foot. We'll sweep right fingers back up to the sky. We'll bring hands to heart center. We'll lower the right foot down. Perfect. Now we'll do that second side. So we'll spread toes on the right foot. We'll ground down through that right foot. We'll bring left knee up towards the chest. We'll start with the diagonal first. So right arm by your side, left fingers reaching straight up overhead, pressing through that right standing foot as we actively reach through the left fingers. And then lowering the left hand, reaching the right hand overhead, pressing through right foot, reaching through right fingers. Bringing a left hand back up to the sky, lowering hands to heart center, lowering the left foot. You're now ready for our next series. If you have that blanket in the middle of your mat, you can slide that out of the way as well. We're done in low lunge type poses. All right, if you wander leg guided, making your way back to the front of your mat, mountain pose. From here, inhaling, fingers to the sky. And exhaling to fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, stepping back to plank. Pausing here, big inhale. Lowering on the exhale. Inhaling, maybe we're ready for up dog. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. 3 big full rounds of breath here. On the next inhale, reaching right heel straight up to the sky. Exhaling, right foot between the hands, left knee stays lifted. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. One more arm variation. We're going to bring the left arm across the body. We're going to catch the left forearm. The right forearm is hugging that left arm over and in here. And then we'll reach fingers back up to the sky. We'll lower the right hand to the hip, left fingers reaching up and over to the right side stretch. We'll inhale, fingers back up to the sky. We'll lower the left hand, right fingers reach high, twisted lunge this time. We'll lower the right hand to frame the front foot. We'll regain our balance. We'll come back up to our high lunge. And then we're going to lower our hands to heart center and prayer. We're going to push off of the back toes to come into warrior three. And then we're going to press through the sole of the left foot, and we're going to reach the right finger straight forward, a little diagonal extension here. Remember to come up to standing, right fingers to the sky, left knee hugging in towards the chest. And then we're going to add a quad stretch. Left hand will catch the left foot, left knee pointing straight down to the ground. We're not going to get to dancer just yet. We'll do dancer next time through, although you can see where we're headed here. Awesome. We'll bring the left knee back up to the chest, left fingers to the sky. We'll gently glide back to that high lunge. Then we'll lower hands to frame the front foot. We'll slide back, downward facing dog. We'll take 3 big full rounds of breath here. When we're ready for second side, inhaling left heel to the sky. Exhaling left foot between the hands. Inhaling fingers to the sky. Exhaling right arm across the body to the left. Left forearm hugging that right forearm in. Little side stretch here. And releasing fingers back up to the sky. Left hand to the hip, right fingers reaching up and over to the left. Sweeping left fingers back up to the sky. Right hand plants, left fingers reach, twisted lunge. And then we'll lower the left hand down to frame the front foot. We'll regain our balance. We'll come back up to high lunge. And then lowering hands to heart center. We'll press off of the back foot to come into warrior three, second side. We're pressing through the right foot. We're reaching the left finger straight forward, diagonal extension. And then coming to standing, right knee in towards the chest. Catching the right foot, adding our quad stretch, second side. Pressing through the left foot, reaching through left fingers. We'll release the foot. Right knee will come up towards the chest once more. And then gently gliding back to our crescent lunge. And then lowering the hands, framing the front foot, sliding back, downward facing dog, or maybe taking a moment in child's pose. Choosing what your body is asking for in this moment. We've got one more time through, and we're finally going to get into that dancer pose after doing a ton of work on our hip flexors and our quads. And when we're ready here, we'll make our way back up to the front of the mat in the next breath or two, arriving in a forward fold. On the inhale, lifting halfway up, and exhaling to refold. And inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Big inhale here. Slow exhale here. We'll go through one more time. Inhaling, fingers reach. Exhaling to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to plank. Pausing, big inhale. Exhaling on as we lower down. Inhaling, cobra or up dog. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. 3 big full rounds of breath here. And next inhale, right heel reaches to the sky. Exhaling, right foot between the hands. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. This time we'll add on eagle arms. We'll bring arms to goalpost arms. We'll bring the right arm on top of the left. Left thumb comes towards the face. Left fingers catch right palm. From here, the hips will sink low as the elbows lift forward and up. We'll take a couple deep breaths, opening up the upper back here. we'll unravel the arms, fingers will reach up to the sky. We'll bring right hand to the hip, left finger is reaching up and over, side stretch, last time on this side. Sweeping both hands back up to the sky. We'll exhale, left hand to your mat, right fingers to the sky, high twisted lunge. Then lowering the right hand to frame the front foot, finding our balance, coming back up, crescent lunge. And then bringing hands to heart center. Again, we're going to come into warrior three, pressing off of the back foot. Torso moving parallel to the ground. We'll extend the right finger straight forward. And then we'll come to standing left knee coming up towards our chest. We'll catch the left foot with the left hand, passing through that quad stretch, and then adding on from here, coming into dancer pose finally. We're gonna press the left foot into that left palm as your torso comes forward, reaching through those right fingers, feeling that extra stretch to the quad and that left hip flexor. And then we'll come back up to standing left knee in towards the chest. We'll gently glide that left foot back, crescent lunge. We're gonna add on a little bit at the end of our sequence this time. So we're gonna lower the hands to frame the front foot, and then we're gonna drop right knee towards right wrist. Left toes will reach long behind us, and then we'll press through spider fingers. A little more openness through that front body, through that left hip. And then we'll take that length down into reclined pigeon. We'll find support for the head, so that could be on stacked fists, could be on stacked palms. We might catch a block, resting the forehead on the block. And we might grab a blanket to slide under that right hip if it needs a little bit of support. Once we've settled in here, we'll take about a minute or so in pigeon pose. And then pressing into the palms, we're going to shift our way over to that right hip, and we'll bring that left leg around to meet the right foot. So your right foot is on the inside of your left thigh. We'll swivel the chest to face those left toes, and then we'll inhale, fingers to the sky. We'll exhale to fold forward over that left leg. We might add a little bit of micro movement here. So on every inhale, we might create a little bit of lift and length in that spine. And on every exhale, we might take that length and soften over the front knee a little deeper. From here, we'll walk the hands back in to come out. So we're going to come into one of my favorite poses. It's kind of a modified wild thing. We're going to sweep the right hand up and over, planting it behind the right hip. We're going to press into that right palm to come up onto the right shins, and then left fingers will reach up overhead as hips are lifting up towards the sky. Nice little front body stretch here. And then we'll lower the hips, we'll bend the left knee, we'll cross the legs at the shins, we'll roll over those shins, and we'll slide back up to downward facing dog. We might pedal out the legs for a moment after having that right knee bent for a bit. And then when we're ready for second side, we'll inhale left heel to the sky. Exhaling left foot between the hands. Inhaling fingers to the sky. We'll add on eagle arms. This time the left arm will be on top of the right. Elbows will lift forward and up as hips are sinking heavy. Taking a few deep breaths into the upper back here. And then unraveling the arms, reaching them up to the sky. Exhaling left hand to the hip, right finger is reaching up and over, last side stretch. Sweeping left hand back up, planting the right hand, left fingers reach, last twisted lunge. And then lowering the left hand, coming back up to our crescent lunge. Lowering hands to heart center, pressing off of the back foot, coming forward into warrior three. Extending the left fingers straight forward, and then coming up to standing, right knee to chest. Catching the right foot, passing through quad stretch, and then pressing the right foot into the hand, coming in to dancer. We'll come back up to standing, right knee will hug into the chest, and then we'll gently glide that right foot back, coming back into our crescent lunge. Hands will lower to frame the front foot. We'll drop the left knee down towards that left wrist. Right toes will untuck and reach long behind us. We'll press through the fingers to get a little opening in that right hip flexor. And then we'll take that length down into our reclined pigeon, finding support for the head on this side, maybe providing support under the left hip on this side as well. From here, we'll come on up to the palms. We'll shift weight onto the left hip, sliding the right leg forward. Left foot is on the inside of the right thigh, swiveling your chest towards that straight right leg. We'll inhale, fingers to the sky. We'll exhale to fold forward. Again, we might add some micro movements, inhaling to find some length and lift, exhaling to soften. We'll walk hands back in towards our hips to come out. We'll sweep that left arm up and over, planting it behind the left hip. Lifting hips up to the sky, reaching through those right fingers as hips are lifting and stretching. And then we'll lower the hips back down. This time we're going to straighten both legs in front of us. We'll give our legs a little shake side to side, or maybe we tap our calves and thighs on the ground. And then we'll bend our knees, we'll plant them about mat width apart, and we'll just windshield wiper our legs side to side. From here, we'll bring our feet back to planted, knees back to center. We'll reach fingers forward, and we'll try to lower down one vertebrae at a time. Once we arrive on our backs, we'll lift our knees like we're sitting in a chair. We'll slide our hips a little bit off to the left. We'll drop our knees off to the right. The left arm might open up wide like a T. Your right hand might rest on your knees so that they don't slide too far away. And then your gaze might look over the left shoulder. And then we'll plant through the right palm to bring the knees back to center. We'll wiggle the hips back to center, and then we'll wiggle them a little bit to the right, dropping knees off to the left. Right arm reaching wide, left hand maybe resting on the right thigh. Gaze looking over the right shoulder. From here, we'll plant into the left palm to bring the knees back to center. We'll wiggle our hips back to center, and then we'll hug knees in towards the chest. We might rock a little bit side to side. And then we'll make our way into Shavasana. So we'll extend one leg and then the other. We'll bring arms by our sides, palms face up. We'll tuck shoulder blades under. We'll tuck chin in. And we'll spend about 1 minute here. Your only task is to just breathe and just be. And I will let you know when it's time to come out. If you have the ability to stay in Shavasana longer, I welcome that. If you need to move on to other things in your day, you might start adding some movement back into your body, wiggling fingers and toes, rolling wrists and ankles, maybe reaching arms overhead for one last long body stretch. And then when you're ready, you can make your way onto your favorite side to make your way back up to a comfortable seated position. When you arrive in that seated position, maybe closing your eyes if it's comfortable. And we'll take one last moment to check in, noticing how it feels to be you in this moment. And then bringing your awareness to your breath. And taking one last big inhale. And long, slow exhale. And then bringing hands to heart center. Taking a moment to thank yourself for doing something kind for your mind and your body. Thank you very much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining today. I hope to see you soon.